Well, hello, Freedom Seekers. I appreciate you being here with me tonight. I'll go ahead and just chat for a few minutes as people come on aboard with me. Yes, you're right. I am running late tonight, and I do apologize. I am really learning new skills, and one of the things that I have thought for the last month that I really want to do with these Monday night times that we spend together is I want to take and just make some really valuable and meaningful trainings for you, and trainings that'll help you to create a life within yourself that will make it easy for you to have more sex with more people more often. And so some of the things though that I have just am having to learn. For instance, I have for most of my life, I've used a whiteboard and easel, and I've done public speaking, and and I've put on conferences. I've done demonstrations with thousands of people, but it was not using technology. It was using things like a whiteboard and easel. I never did presentations using PowerPoint slides and things like that. Well, so here I am transitioning, and I'm going through this process and transitioning my income from income like most people have, where they trade their hours for dollars, where I'm transitioning my income to be more of an online income, where then it can also be a good portion of it can be a passive income. I don't know if you heard about the book, the 4-Hour Work Week. And I know that book has been impactful in many of my mentors and coaches and their friends' lives. And they have really learned to enjoy a work week that is not 40, it's not 30. In most cases, most of the people that I am, in conversation regularly with, they work between 10 and 20 hours a week. No, it's they work a few more than 4. So the idea of the book, The 4-Hour Work Week, is possible if you want that. But most of these people just really don't want a 4-hour work week because, they enjoy the things they're doing. They're passionate, like myself, passionate about what we do. But the thing is that you want to be able to have a life where you just don't feel squeezed on time all the time. And so they do a lot of different things in that book. 4-Hour Work Week kind of lays out a map for you to be able to take and decide, how many hours a week do you want to work? And do you want to work 40 hours, or would you rather work 4 hours? Now myself, I don't want to work 4 hours. I want to work between, probably between 15 and 20, no more than 25 hours a week. I figured 6 hours a day maximum for 5 days a week, and that'd be give me 5 days. Well, 30. That'd be 30 hours, but that'd be 6 hours a day maximum. And so most of the time, 4 or 5 hours a day. And then the rest of the time, then it leaves me time to enjoy doing the things that I want to do, and also taking care of my own physical health. For instance, I oftentimes would love to go out and maybe get a walk in or get a massage in and these kinds of things. And there's just not enough hours in the day right now for me to get everything in. But I'm moving in the direction, transforming my own life in the direction of being able to have more financial security and financial independence. And that is through creating an online business. And I've been talking about that now. I think this is week 40. And so I've been talking about that now for 40 weeks, where I talk about the transformation going on in my life and how it really correlates with the very same kinds of things that I needed to do back when my wife and I opened our marriage and I started living my ethical and consensual non-monogamous life. And then there's this transformation process that you go through. And so I'm going through that now with my work and wealth life. I've gone through that with my love, sex, and relationships. And then that was the biggest, most impactful changes in my life, because when I transformed my life into my ethically and consensually non-monogamous life, then I went and, woke up to so many things and started making other changes. And then the second thing then that I went and started working on is my health and wellness, and making sure then that I would be able to continue to live in a long time and live in a juicy, lovely sex life, and with partners of all ages. And so I really, I enjoy my life. I love my life. But the thing is now is though that I'm always squeezed for time. And so even though I just I'm really squeezed for time, and my whole life actually has been like that. When I was making $40,000 a month on the average, I was really squeezed for time, and I was working 80 to 110 hours a week. It was like there was no way I could really work much more than what I was working. And week after week, I did that for years and built a very successful company. But, it also is a situation where you can burn yourself out, and it's not sustainable, and it's not something that you could really keep up and keep going with. And people do the same thing in developing their relationships, that they sometimes in developing non-monogamous relationships, they get into where they'll have one more partner, and it's almost like they become monogamous. They may have two partners then, but they're like monogamous with those two partners instead of continuing to enjoy the richness of having more sex with more people more often. And so you want to continue to develop and expand that part of your life. I certainly do. I had a lovely time yesterday. Kat and I, my partner here in Ventura, California, we just had a lovely time. We had met a couple, must have been about a year ago online, and we just chatted back and forth. Since then, when we met, it was before COVID time, so we kind of chat a little bit and get to know each other, and thought we could have some fun, but then COVID hit. And then that kind of backed everybody down and just shut us all down. And we really didn't reconnect again for many months. But then here, I think it's about a month and a half ago, we kind of reconnected, and the wife actually popped up and sent me a message, says hi, and asked about, how we're doing with COVID and all. And it turns out that she and her husband is just really fearful, scared of this whole COVID thing. They've got 3 kids at home, and it's almost like they go into panic mode over it, And so we really chatted with them about that. And we had a couple video dates, not video sex, but just video dates, talking, spending an hour to an hour and a half time and just talking where we can at least see each other, and so we did that a couple times, and we talked to them about, their bareback sex and safe sex practices, because Kat and I really enjoy bareback sex, and we simply really are not interested in having people in our life that we have ongoing sexual relationships with if we aren't having bareback sex. Well, that's then how they prefer it, and they meet all of our safety guidelines and standards and everything on that. And people say, well, how can you have safe bareback sex, Mark? Well, it's not hard. You just need to find other people that are as safe as you are, and other people who don't have anything. If they don't have an STI and STD, and then they're not going to give you anything. It's the same thing with COVID. And people who are so afraid about other people, well, yes, out in public, it's a scary situation, or even in groups where you don't really carefully screen each and every person, it can be a scary situation. And I've talked about before that I'm extreme with my COVID safety. So one of the things that we look for, Kat and I, we look for, couples and people, individuals who match our COVID safety and bareback safety guidelines. And we have a whole written sheet on our guidelines. And I've talked about that here, made videos about that before. But yeah, we want to make sure then that we're safe and healthy. I have a girlfriend I see once every week for a play date, and she is 70 years old, and she's a really tiny, petite, lovely woman. But because she's tiny and petite and 70 years old, she's kind of frail. And her husband is a little older than she is, and not in good health. If they had came down with COVID, it would be the death of them. And I'm pretty sure of that. And I don't want that, I just could not imagine having that on my shoulders the rest of my life, And because she and her husband are both just absolutely lovely. Her husband sends her over to me each week and wants me to really take good care of her. And it's fun. And so when COVID hit, I stopped seeing her because we didn't want to take any chances. And then finally in October, she had been messaging me how she misses me and misses our fun together. And so by the time October came around, we decided that we would go ahead and so we had developed both of us, and their household and our household developed standards and safety guidelines that were working, so that COVID really wasn't a threat to us and wasn't a risk to us. And so we don't have to fear it and be concerned about it. And so, we discussed that, my girlfriend and myself, and then Kat, and my girlfriend's bi and Kat's bi. And so sometimes we also have threesomes. Most of the time she comes over when Kat's work. And so most times just a twosome, but they're just lovely times. And so we've been having sex weekly again then since October. But so then, this couple that we had sex with yesterday, because couple sex is totally different than sex with one other person, even though it's non-monogamous, it's ethical and consensual non-monogamy. They're all really wonderful, juicy encounters and great times. And so, they're different though. And it had been, Kat and I, we've only had sex with another couple a couple times this year with one other couple. And that was last summer, and we just haven't seen them since because their COVID safety is kind of like comes in and out. They'll be super COVID safe for a while, and then they will do something that doesn't meet our standards and guidelines, and so we don't see them, and then we drop out, and we're about ready to start reconnecting with them again, though. But so this was a new couple yesterday, and they're just lovely people, but they're really freaked out about the whole COVID thing. But then, after the video dates that we had, and we talked lots about COVID and our exposure and our risk and everything, and they then apparently, because we didn't think that we would really be sexually entertaining them until COVID was well past, because of their level of panic over the whole COVID situation. But then they sent us a message, and it says, we're starting to realize that this whole pandemic thing is going to go on a long time, and we really want to see you guys and meet you face to face and play with you. And so we set up a play date, and we had a lovely time yesterday. And so, during this whole pandemic and stuff, you continue to create the life that you enjoy the most. And, you obviously have to use a lot more caution and a lot more care. Now, I met them on a site that is a swinger site, and they're really looking for the very same thing. And I put all this out in my profile, and that we're looking for friendships that are deep friendships where we can enjoy lovely ongoing relationships and ongoing times of sex, and also once in a while have some fun that's outside the bedroom as well. Oh, thanks for joining us here. And if you have any comments as I chat, be sure to put them in the comments section, and I'll be happy to address your comments and answer any questions that you have. But and I'll be getting into my material here in a moment, but this all kind of leads up to it. But so yeah, that you can create a life that maximizes your satisfaction and pleasure, and still just a wonderful life where you're having more sex with more people more often. And I've got my girlfriend in Seattle that when every once in a while I'll drive up and see her and spend a month and next time I'll probably go up there and spend 6 weeks with her. And so I drive up and see her, and got some other people that, we're just kind of getting to know each other and going through the process of making sure that everybody can keep everybody safe. And so, you just have to have the conversations. And that takes me to then why I want you to understand the power of your words. And I then had the 6-week training on that. And so tonight is not about the power of your words, but something a little different. We'll get to that here really quick here in a moment. But yeah, I just want you to understand that you can create for yourself, even amongst this COVID pandemic, you can create for yourself an ethical and consensual non-monogamous life that is just absolutely wonderful and have such a good time. Now, so I had someone contact me yesterday, I think, the day before, or something like that, 2 days ago. And he says, hey, are you hosting any parties? You see, here in Ventura, we used to host 2 parties a month, and hotel parties. And people got to knowing that, and they enjoyed coming to our hotel parties. And we would, sometimes it was a small party, just depending upon how many people RSVP'd, and sometimes it was as few as 20 people, or actually as few as 10 people a couple times, and but then we had some parties too that you rent multiple hotel rooms and just get more space. And I think we've had as many as 40 people at some of our events and parties and stuff, and we've had nice times. And it's just a way for me to bring people together and carefully screen everybody and make sure there's a balance of men and women. That it's always good to have a couple extra guys, because the women flat just wear out the guys, and they want more, and so it's always good to have a couple extra guys. But generally speaking, I've got 3 times more guys who want to come to these events when I was hosting them than women or couples even. And so, it's where then I'm very careful at screening people, making sure that people that come to my events are all going to have a really good time. If I was just trying to, because it's a donation system, and I ask them to pledge the donation, and they tell me how much they're pledging. And if I wanted to maximize my money, then some of these guys, particularly the single guys, they pledge $50 to $100 to come to my events. And, by just letting a couple of people in, a couple of more single guys, not being selective, not trying to keep a balance and all these kinds of things, I could make hundreds of dollars. But then again, that's a short-range, short-minded situation, because my events, my parties, they would end up going downhill. And so word get out really quick. That's not, not where you want to go. It's there's just too many guys. Now, if we're having a gangbang, which, I have actually 2 women right now that would love to have a gangbang. But that's not going to happen any big scale. Might go put something together with 5 guys, for instance, then for these 2 women. And, or have 2 gangbangs, 5 guys and 1 woman, and another time 5 guys and 1 woman. something like that. But yeah, everybody's got to be very, very carefully screened, and now even more than ever because of COVID. And so it's important then to know how to really create a life that you love, even amongst this pandemic. And we're going to go ahead and get into that. And let me see now again. Well, what kind of why I was late is I'm wanting to for these Monday night videos I make. I'm wanting to start doing using some slides, some presentation slides, using PowerPoint. And I've really have never created those slides before. Now, we do some things. Kat and I have done numerous things over the last, 2 years, where we've done webinars and things like that. She's always creates the slides. And so, this is where it's time for me now to learn to do these things as well. And so I really just didn't allow enough time to get the slides done. Fact is, they're not done now, but I'm going to go ahead and wing it anyway. But that's something you can look forward to, I hope, because I think that it'll create a better quality video for you to be able to enjoy watching. And so at least that's my desire, is that then you'll have a better experience watching the videos. It's after a while, I know I'm a good looking man. I mean, these women that I get to enjoy, they tell me I'm a handsome guy. I mean, and my whole hair is not combed or brushed or anything. I mean, look at that. That's no coloring in there. And I mean, no hair dye or anything like that. I'm 63 years old, and I think that I'm holding my my youthfulness pretty good. And so anyway, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to switch over to maybe, again, I'm learning how to do all this stuff. So I'm going to switch over to my PowerPoint presentation. And let me just see here real quick. Okay. So I'm going to just do some things. Like I say, I'm doing things on the fly here. And I've even got to get my little clicker. I forgot to get I ran out of time. Didn't get my clicker for the presentation stuff, so I don't have to fumble around on my computer and stuff. So I'm going to see if I can get my slides brought up and share that screen with you, and we'll flip over to that now and see how that goes. And so let me see. I'm going to try to use this screen, share my screen, and here we go. Oh, I didn't start the right place. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Like I say, I'm new to all this, and I appreciate your patience with me. But yeah, we're going to talk about disempowering words that limit you. And because, disempowering words that limit you, well, I'll get into it in a moment. But first, before we talk about disempowering words that limit you, I want to make sure you know about your 3 fantastic added benefits for watching the video beyond what you take away from watching the video itself. We've got 3 fantastic added benefits for you. And so the first one is, in all 3 of these, that you'll get information about down there in the description box. So make sure that you go down there in the description box and pick up on each of these benefits. But the first one is, take a look and see your 100% free gift as a way of saying thank you for watching these videos. And so I'm not going to tell you what it is, but just go there and click on the link. It takes you to a website that I built myself. Again, that's one of the things that when was it, last November, I had to learn I wanted to learn and need to learn how to build websites. And so that's the site that I built. And so that you can have something for free And just check it out and tell me what you think of it. And I hope that you'll take advantage of that free gift. It's a gift that, I don't know how much value it'll have to you. I hope it'll at least have some value to you. And if you're in business, it can be worth thousands to you. If you want to, at some point, like you may get to where I'm at, where you think, I'd like to make a little bit of money online, and you transition your transition, to an ECNM life. You're living ethically and consensually non-monogamous life, and you think, man, I could enjoy a lot more sex if only I could take and shift and have more time, work less and have more time, and maybe have more money and less work to do. And you can make that shift as well. And so the gift number one is something that'll be very valuable for you if you ever want to do something like that. If you don't ever want to do something like that, then there's a lot of other uses for it as well. And I may do a whole program sometime just on this gift for you. But it's a gift that I personally have spent in the last 5 years over $10,000 for this gift that you're getting for free. And it's a lifetime. You'll never have to pay a dime or a dollar. You don't have to give any credit cards or anything. Just you take and click on that link and find out about the gift. And so then the second item is a free subscription to our value-packed emails. And you want to get on our email list. And right now I don't have any regular schedule thing that I do with it, but that'll be one of the things that we will be focusing on more and more in the future. And so get that free subscription to our value-packed emails. And then number three, you're going to have to watch this video, because somewhere in the video, I'm going to give you a discount code. And it's going to give you 92% discount on our premier 16-week course. That's a course that Kat and I are doing. And the course is called 3 Steps to Create Your Easy, Liberated, and Fun Life Magnetically. And so creating an easy, liberated, and fun life magnetically, maximizing your satisfaction and pleasure in love, sex, and relationships, work and wealth, health and wellness, shifts your life from being hard to being easy, from being obligated and dependent to being liberated, and from being limited and restricted to being fun. And so if you're interested, you can kind of check that out. And so for watching this video, just keep track of there'll come a slide along, and it gives you a 92% discount on that course. We sold that course for $697. And so this is just my way to my audience here on YouTube of saying thank you for being my audience. I really appreciate you. Okay, so on with it now. And so here last week, I actually had another different plan for tonight's topic, but then I got this text, and it was from somebody I've been chatting with, and in fact, someone that likely Kat and I'll invite over. He's a single male, and likely you'll get invited over, and we'll have sex with him. And like many people, whether you're a single male or couples, they hadn't had sex. Like he hadn't had sex since before COVID, and many couples, they have sex between themselves. Like this couple that we played with last night, they hadn't had sex with anybody else, but yet before COVID, they were, actively, regularly, every couple times, 1 or 2 times a month, would have sex with some friends, and it just hasn't happened since COVID. And so anyway, this gentleman, he knows about my easy, I call my easy, liberated, and fun, known as my ELF ECNM life. And so he sent me a text and he says, I wish I had that. Have you ever said something like that yourself? Have you ever, like thought about things, well, I wish I had that, or I wish I could, or things like this, And another good word here people use all the time is, well, I hope that I can someday live a life like you live, or I hope someday I can make more money, and so that then is what created this conversation between him and I, and this whole topic for me here. You see, because over the past 2 months that I spoke a lot about using the power of words to create a life that you love magnetically. When you start using your words correctly, it's like a magnet, because it'll start to send really force of energy out into the universe, so that you, like a magnet, will start to pull to you the opportunities. Like, I needed some opportunities to make some more money. It'll pull to you the opportunities. It'll pull to you the people. It'll pull to you the things that you need in order to maximize your satisfaction and pleasure in your love, sex, and relationships, in your work and your wealth, and your health and your wellness. And so you can learn about the power of your words, but then you can negate everything you try to progress on by using disempowering words. I wish that I had that. That's a disempowering statement. And so that's then what we're getting into tonight, because, whether it's your love, sex, and relationships that you're working on, whether it's your work and your wealth, whether it's your health and your wellness, you can learn, go back through those 6 trainings that I did about the power of your words. You can learn all that stuff, and you can have it make an impact in your life. But then if you keep using disempowering words, because as this gentleman, the conversation that ensued, I guess would be the correct word there, the conversation that ensued between him and I, and he says, well, I've always made comments like that. Well, yeah, I know. And when you argue for your limitations and you defend things that, are limiting you in your life, then what happens? What's the result of that? And the result is that when you argue for your limitations, when you defend your things that you're doing, like defending things that he said, then you're going to keep getting what you got. And I pointed that out to him, and he thought, oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah, that's right. And so you don't want to keep getting what you got. And to say, I wish I had that, there's no power in that. And so what are disempowering words? Disempowering words are words that limit you and they restrict you. Now, as I mentioned, I was going to take, I ran really late, putting this whole presentation together, and didn't even get it finished, and everything. But one of the things that I was going to do as well, because I was trying to do everything, I got so much stuff going on in my head that I wanted to be able to give you examples of disempowering words, and I could think of some examples, but not enough. And so just because I had so many things going on in my head, and also when you're not, like, when somebody comes, like this gentleman the other day, and I'm in a conversation with him, somebody uses a disempowering word, then I picked up on that, and I can, if there's somebody I'm working with, then I can then say to them, well, that's a disempowering word. It's going to limit you and it's going to restrict you. And the other thing it does is it strips you of your power to create and have the ELF, easy, liberated, and fun, ECNM, ethical, consensual, and non-monogamous life that you love, magnetically maximizing your satisfaction and pleasure. It strips you of your power to do that. Because you're constantly then, even if you're using and learning about the power of your words, you're negating them. And so what I recommend you do for homework tonight, every week I try to take and have some homework, and again, I don't have a homework slide tonight, but in the future, I'll continue developing these PowerPoints, and they'll get faster and easier for me to create them, and all that kind of stuff, as I get my skills. And like I mentioned about, there was a video that I made about something about the recipe for your sex life or something like that, and I talked about how I went to make a recipe, and the first time I made it, it took me an hour to make that recipe. And then I made it a second time, and it took me 30 minutes. And I made it a third time, and it took me 15 minutes. And now I can knock that recipe out in about 10 minutes. And so, that's like 6 times more it took me initially. And I'm sure that's exactly took me at least 6 times more to put these PowerPoint slides to more time, in the same amount of time I could have, half the amount of time I could have completed the slides and all that. But so I didn't. And so my homework then for you is to go to Google and Google the term disempowering words. And what will come up is that you'll have, links that you can go, like one is something like 97 disempowering words. And then there's other links, they're just lists of disempowering words. And those are good, solid resources. And it's like with this gentleman in the text the other day, I told him that he needs to just wipe that word out of his vocabulary. What word am I referring to? The word wish. That word wish is a word that will limit you, because you're always then wishing. Hope is like that too. Hope. It's not like, because instead of you actually taking and making some changes and taking the right actions that are going to move you forward and where you're going. If I could sit here and say, well, I wish I could make $20,000 of income online. And as long as I'm sitting there thinking, I wish I could do that, then that does not empower me. And so it ends up limiting me. And you create restrictions for your life instead of creating opportunities and opening doors of how to do things and what you need to do, and prioritizing your time and saying, yes, I really want that. So again, we're talking about, use your words magnetically to maximize your satisfaction and pleasure in your life. In order to magnetically maximize the satisfaction and pleasure in your life, then you got to get the restrictions out of the way. You can't limit yourself. And then you've got to learn to use your words so that you have the power of those words behind you. You don't want to strip yourself of your power to create the life that is an easy, liberated, and fun life. It's an ethically and consensually non-monogamous life. And you just love the life that you created because it's so maximized with satisfaction and pleasure. And so that's your homework then, is to go there to Google and read some list of disempowering words, and then just ask yourself, which ones of those you use. And yes, then you just want to eliminate those from your vocabulary. Even go ahead and print out, if you got most people got access to a computer printer, print out the list, several pages of them, and post them around so that you're seeing them all the time and you're aware of them. But then with that list, and this will be the second part of your homework, with that list, like the statement, I wish I could do that. Okay, the word wish is a disempowering word. And you want to then write what you can use instead. Because if you just have that list of words, you've heard me talk before about how that whatever you focus your energy on, you're going to get more of it. And so if all you've got then is a list of those words and you're focusing your energy on that, then guess what? You're going to just get more of those words, the disempowering words. And so the way I would do it is like, again, depending upon your computer ability, this is really very basic, but some people don't even have the basic computer ability. But the way I would do it is simply take and make a table, a 2-column table. And so in one column, then I'd start putting down all the disempowering words that I find that I realize, yeah, I use those words. And I would go ahead and I would list them all. And I would list those then in not really big font, not big letters at all. Kind of like over here on the left side of my screen where it says limit you and then restrict you. But over on the right side of the screen, it's much larger where it says limit you and restrict you. Because then in the other side of the column, I would then put what it is that I want to use, what words. Instead of, if I'm not going to use the word wish anymore, then what am I going to do? And so, for instance, instead of wish, you might say, I am. I wish I could do that was the comment that the gentleman made. I mean, I looked it up in my text today to make the slide with. I wish I could do that. And so, then I'd say, well, I am going to do that. So I am could be used instead of wish. Or I am doing that is really even better than I am going, because going is when you look at again just how the power of words work on the mind and things like that. It's something that you're going to do. When you look on the calendar, there's nowhere on the calendar that going is listed. It's not under Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's not under January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. There is no year in the future. It doesn't matter how many calendars that you look at, you're not going to find something in there that's going. And so it's not like then I wish I could do that, and then you put I am going to do that. Not good enough. You say I am doing that, and then you can put a date. You can say I am doing it, and then just start to visualize it. And I had a conversation a while back with someone, and the conversation was about about dating and having wonderful women to date, for a guy. And see, this goes back to when I was transitioning my life. My wife and I opened our marriage, and I started living an ethically and consensually non-monogamous life. But I hadn't dated in, it was 27 years in monogamy, but then we were engaged and all. I hadn't been out in the dating life for like 29 years, almost 30 years. By the time that, that we opened our marriage. And so I realized that when I wanted to start to enjoy having more sex with more people more often, I had to find, kind of brush up some skills and stuff. And so that's where, this conversation I had was about, so imagine then, because you have to be it before you can have it. That's the concept here. You have to be it before you can have it. And so you can imagine some young, guy or a woman for that matter, the thing about what they want, and so some guy that is like wanting to, but he's like, let's take me and just say, I'm just like this total dork, and backwards, socially inept, and all these kinds of things. And then you realize, yeah, that's not what I want. So what do I want? Well, I want to be able to, at least have some courage to put myself out there and talk to a woman. I want to be able to then get better at talking to a woman so that I actually can make conversation with a woman and not just say hi, and so there's these little steps. Again, you take these little steps, because the first step may be just walking up to a woman and saying, hi, my name is Mark, and I just wanted to come up here and tell you that I think you look really good. Now, you'd really be surprised how women doing that. And, people don't do that. But, maybe that's really all the more that you have the comfort to do. And so, you kind of practice that at home in front of the mirror, hi, my name is Mark, and I just wanted to kind of let you know that I think you're really pretty. And you just practice something like that. And so then you're able to take and start to do that. But then, it's like, okay, what am I going to do yet? And if you let fear come along of like, oh my God, but then what will I do after that? Well, you may just turn around and walk away. That's fine. You don't have to do anything. But then she may engage you. And then, it's like, well, then you can just let her know. It says, I'm sorry, but I'm kind of like an introvert, or I'm a little bit socially inept, and I'm a little uncomfortable with this now. You see, here's another little trick, that when you do something like that, then if she's interested in you, she's going to take and like just come on to you then. She says, oh, well, don't worry about it. Let's just make this easy. And you actually end up because of your honesty and your vulnerability, you end up putting her in your camp and maybe in your bed because of your honesty and vulnerability. But yet people are so afraid that, I just won't know, or what if I say the wrong thing? You know what? It's an abundance, not a scarcity ocean out there. Remember, we talked about that weeks ago, almost 2 months ago now, that shifted you from flowing in the direction of being stuck in a scarcity ocean to where you can flow in the direction of an abundant ocean. And so if you make a mistake, then you make a mistake. And if you get embarrassed or whatever, just move on and you'll do better next time. Okay? And so you start using the words that then empower you and don't disempower you. And so I'd have then my list of words that I'm wanting to replace and to eliminate. And then on the other column, I'd have the words then that I'm going to use instead. And so that's your homework then for this week, is to create that list with both of those columns for you. And feel free to, like if you're kind of stuck with any of it, like, you come up with one of those words like, oh yeah, wow, I never thought about that being disempowering. And I use that a word all the time. A word that I used to use all the time was very. And very, and then also really. I used to say, hey, I really, 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 really something. And I used to use those words all the time, but they don't add meaning and substance and power to your words. They take away from the words and the meaning and the substance that you're really wanting to deliver. And so, in fact, I had a girlfriend. She and my wife and I were all out, and we were out for I think it was dinner. And I was, talking to him, and my girlfriend called me on it. Says, you know how many times a day you use the word really? And I said, no. And she says, well, yeah, you don't just use the word really. You always use really, really. And I go, wow, I was just never really aware of that. And I says, okay, I'll change that. And she says, and she, at this point, she's like in cahoots with my wife. And my wife's like saying, yes, you do. And so they're in cahoots together, and my wife says, yeah, you've done that for like, I don't know, a long time. Because somewhere along the way, I just developed that, and then my girlfriend, I said to her, I said, well, I'm gonna stop doing that. She says, you can't stop doing that. And I says, no, you don't think so? And she says, you've been having that habit too long. It's too strong of a part of your vocabulary, the way you talk and all. And I said, well, I tell you what, let's cast a little bet here. And the reward will be dinner out. If I win the bet, and then my girlfriend, her name was Daphne, and I says, Daphne, if I win the bet and I really just totally smoke this, and by the end of 30 days that I have stopped using that word. Now, you can maybe, wait for 60 days, but by the end of 30 days, that's the window. And but if I end up stopping using that word at the end of 30 days, then you're going to buy a really nice dinner at a nice restaurant. And she agreed to that. And it was only about 10 days that that word was no longer regularly in my vocabulary. And that is, then again, I come back, that's the power of your words. When you use the right words and use the power of your words, and you say, I am going to change that. I didn't say, I wish I could change that. You see the difference? And I said, no, I am going to change that. And they like, no, you're not. But see, they didn't understand a lot of the things that I knew and had been learning for years about, things like the power of your words and how to make transformational changes in your life, and things like that. And so, yeah, I made the change in 10 days, and my wife and girlfriend were just absolutely amazed. And Daphne bought me a nice dinner at a nice restaurant. And so that's how that worked. So let's go on here. And so the next thing is, I said that I would be mentioning code. So here it is for you. And so the discount code, it's all capital letters, discount, and then the numbers 92, because you're going to get a 92% discount on this 16-week course. And if that's something you're interested in, but discount 92, and all, no space between the discount and 92. Discount is all in caps. And so discount 92, then that's what you want to go ahead and put. Now, if you're just kind of curious of that, you can go ahead and click on the link down there in the description, and then that'll take you over to the site. And it's not the site that I'd really like to have for it, because we run out of time and all this kind of stuff. In the future, we'll be creating a better site, and to be honest with you, then we won't be giving this kind of a discount away, because the site, even at the best discounted price, the course should sell for $200 to $300. And it's an incredible course. And just think about what it would cost you to take any kind of course that's going to be 16 weeks. That's like over 25 hours of content and material, and helping you to live a life that is easy, liberated, and fun. And so now we talked a little bit about non-monogamy, but this particular course is not focused on non-monogamy. It's not focused on people who live in an ECNM life. It's focused on just the general population that is really interested in living an easy, liberated, fun life, because a lot of people do not live an easy life, or they don't live a liberated life, or they don't live a fun life. And back right after Thanksgiving, we did a 2-hour webinar, and where we really honed in talking to people about that. And that's really kind of where the people taking this course came from. And I might post that webinar sometime in the future in my videos. So keep coming back, and I might get that posted sometime. Eventually, that webinar will be part of the course. And in other words, when the page that you click on, then when you get to that page, that the webinar will be there so people can get that background. And I got to edit it, streamline it so it's under an hour in length, so it's not as long as it is. But anyway, and then you can click on, buy the course. Again, you don't have to worry about it. If you don't put your credit card in there, you're not going to buy anything. And so then you could use that discount code, discount92, just to show you, okay, what would it cost you? What would it be? And again, in the future, then this course, because we're creating the course week by week right now. We create it every Wednesday night. This week we're on week number 4, and we're going to go 16 weeks. And so you'll get, you can either take and do 1 week at a time and lag behind us, or you can catch up to us. And then if you want to just keep watching the recordings, then there'll be a new week recording put there in your program every week. If you just take and want to watch the recordings, or you can come and see us on Wednesday nights live as we do the course as well. And so however works out best for you and your schedule. But it's a great course. And like I said, right now I'll let you have it for 92% off, and you won't find that in the future. It'll be a $200-$300 course, something like that, at the discounted price if we wanted a sale or a special on it. Whereas right now it's $697 otherwise. Okay, so moving on. So the question then to you is, do you use disempowering words? And so today I was going to then go through and I'm going to talk to you about that and identify what are disempowering words. I think I kind of talked about that and touched on that. How disempowering words take your power away. So this is where this slide actually belongs a little bit earlier, and but I just ran out of time, wasn't able to go through anything, and just create the slide. But how disempowering words take your power away. And if you have any questions, again, be sure to ask your questions. I'm not seeing the comments right now because I don't have the ability to see that on my screen right now. But in here in a moment, I'll be going to the comments. And if you have any comments or questions, I'll get to them. And then what are words commonly used that are disempowering? And so like I mentioned, then that's your homework assignment to discover that. Okay, and so then we're at the end of the discussion here tonight, the topic for tonight. I hope that was of value to you. And I am going to go ahead and return then to my regular screen and just take a look and see any comments, and don't have any comments, so that's fine. Now, normally then this is where then I would go ahead and give you a weekly update and all this. And I'm going to start creating some slides for this kind of stuff, so that, you'll see the slides every week, but it'll have my update and everything. And again, I just ran out of time tonight. I'm learning how to do all this stuff, but so I don't have that tonight. And right now we are actually, I like to be done I wanted to start at 9 o'clock, but wanted to start at 8 o'clock, but started at 8:15 or 8:17 or 8:18, something like that. And so then I wanted to be done by 9 o'clock. And here it is then 9:15, and it's running a little late. So I'm going to just go ahead and skip the end of it, talking about the kinds of things that I'm reviewing my last week's performance, where I do a pass or fail on the things that I'm working on. One of the things last week that I'll tell you that I was working on is that I'm working on learning about and be able to create and do YouTube ads. And one of the things that I need to do is I went out and I took 30 minutes of video footage of myself and Kat, where we then created a video. But it was 30 minutes of footage because we took like 4 or 5 takes of this thing, and to make sure then we did a good job. And then we'll take the best of we'll cut and splice and then end up making a really good video, and people won't even know that we took 4 or 5 takes of it all and then cut and splice it all together to do it. But, that's the same way that movies are made, but this is a video then that is going to go on a website that I'm making, and then a YouTube ad will be run out there. And after that YouTube ad is run, then certain people that I'm wanting to see it will see it. They'll click on the link in the ad, and then that'll take them over to my website. And the video will be over there, and it'd be about a 5-minute video that pops up and chats with them a little bit. And so I got that. One goal last week was to get that edited, and it's not the end result video. I'll end up redoing the whole video, but right now in the process that I'm doing, that'll go off to my coach then, so that the coach can review it, and then we'll write a new script, and then we'll go out and make a final take, be much better quality. But we'll do a final take, and then if there's any editing needed on that, then I'll go ahead. There's a website out there with people that live in other countries that, for them, for instance, in the Philippines, $8 a day is an average wage. And so you can imagine, people who have a little bit of skill that for them doing these kinds of things, then quite often then they'll charge $20. And like $20 for them, that's 2.5 days an average wage. Or if they get enough work coming in, then they're able to make $20 a day, and they're living the high life compared to the average population is making $8 a day. And so there's places on the internet that I can connect with those people and offer them. I got this video. I've got, wanted to have it professionally edited and the music put in the background and all this kind of stuff. And tell them I'll give them $20 for that. And they're very happy then to be able to do that and do a great work and great job. Where for me, it's not my skill set. I can do some of that basic, simple stuff, but it's not my strongest skill set. And I want this to come out really good for the purpose that I'm using it for. And so I'm willing to spend $20 to make sure it comes out really good. And so thank you very much for your time here tonight. And so I was saying that that was my goal, is to get that edited, because then I'm sending it off to my coach Ollie, and which is a different coach. I've got multiple coaches, but he's got to watch it, because I'm selling a program that he created. And so I want his feedback on it before it goes off to my YouTube video editing coaches. And so Ollie will take a look at it. But I wanted to get that done last week. I failed at that, did not get that completed. And probably because I wasn't expecting this couple to come back and say, hey, we'd really like to have another video date with you guys. And if we, chat about after the video date, maybe we can all get together and have sex. And wasn't expecting that last week, but I tell you what, that's a rough way to fail at my goal for last week, is to be able to enjoy a lovely, lovely time with a couple that is COVID safe and bareback safe, as what Kat and I are. And yes, we'll be seeing them on a repeated basis, because we all got together really well. And so it's going to be fun. But so anyway, so that did kind of disrupted my schedule a little bit. Also, I had a conference last week, which was a 3-day conference, and I just totally, until it was like the day before the conference, and it was on my calendar, and it's like, oh man, I forgot all about that, and wasn't even on my radar before the day before it got on my radar, and so that was 3 days then. So they had to shift a lot of stuff and move a lot of stuff around to attend the conference, because a conference I really wanted to attend. It was great. And but things like that then happen. So today I finished editing that video, and so right after I'm done here with this video, then making this, I'm going to finish my email and send that off to my coach Ollie, and he's from London, and I'm excited for him to get that, and then he'll be getting that. I also have dozen questions for him that he'll get back with me then, and I'm looking forward to getting that back, because then I go on to the next step. So it's just a lot of good things actually having them moving forward, but they're small steps, just small incremental steps, because that's how you move things forward. But it's important, like if you're working with non-monogamy. And just like a couple of years ago, and I'll just end with this last story here tonight, but a couple of years ago, I don't know, 6 years ago, I was out hiking. Chris and I were up in Washington State, and we went to a place called Deception Pass State Park, and we were hiking, and I slipped on it was like Seattle's in the northwest, Washington State. It's kind of drizzly, wet, and rainy a lot of times. It wasn't absolutely raining, but it was drizzly, and so like the ground was wet, and so it was on this big sheet of shale rock, and I slipped, and my feet came right out from underneath me, and I landed on my shoulders, my back, and my shoulders caught me, and unfortunately they created a drag, because if they didn't create a drag, I was 2 feet away from a cliff where it would have been lights out for me, and so that happened then, and I'm sorry, but you ever there was something that tied into before I started this whole story, that I was tying it into something I said before, and then going to end with this story for you. But now I just don't remember what that was. So anyway, I guess then I won't be tying in that story and ending with it all, and I'm sorry for that. But sometimes it's not that I'm getting where I just don't keep track. Sometimes it happens to everybody, and you just saw it live here on YouTube. It happened to me. So thanks a lot, though, for being here, and we'll see you then next week. And hopefully, because I've kind of got some topic and everything already set up there on YouTube, and got them all planned out for the month. So hopefully then next week I'll be on time, and we'll see you then next week at 8 p.m. on Monday night. Thanks a lot now.